What's up, all you mentees? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today, I finally get back to doing my in-depth overviews of two of my favorite manga of all time. We have Blade of the Immortal, the Deluxe Edition Volume 7, and Berserk, the Deluxe Edition Volume 12. So, join me. Welcome back, everybody. So before going any further, I do want to thank the folks at Dark Horse for sending us copies of these deluxe editions. Both of these are already out in the book market and the direct market. And both of these come sealed in plastic, as most mature content books do. They both have their own little leaflet. For example, here's Berserk's. This is on the back. And this is Blade of the Immortals, again, on the back of the book. One thing that I did notice, though, is that for Blade of the Immortal, there's not a sticker like Berserk. Berserk has a sticker for parental advisory, and this one doesn't. Now, I don't know why that is, because this definitely has a lot of mature themes in there, and the violence is, even though over the top, it is very mature type of violence. So I guess before we go into the in-depth overview, I do want to let people know that yes, both of these are mature content manga, and definitely not for kiddos. The big differences, of course, between both of these is this is one of the very rare, to this day, it wasn't back in the 80s and 90s, printed left to right format manga. And I've talked about why they've done that in the past, whereas Berserk is the traditional right to left manga, like you would have in Japan. And the other big difference, besides the way they're printed, is the spines. Yeah, Berserk has a curved spine like you're used to from Marvel and DC Omnis, and Blade of the Immortal has that flat spine, which you usually see in hardcovers from Dark Horse Comics or Image Comics, deluxe editions. But let's go ahead and crack Blade of the Immortal open right here, and with this beautiful piece of art right there by Hiroaki Samura. Okay, cracking this book open right here, and just in case, even though I've already said I'm going in depth with these overviews, there is going to be talk of spoilers. So in case you haven't read Volume 7 or you're still trying to catch up with Berserk, just putting spoilers out there. And even if you mute me, you're going to be looking at the beautiful pictures and still figure out what's going on. So I always like to warn people ahead of time, even though the stories are a little bit older. I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody. Here are all the publishing information over here on the left. On the right-hand side is Blade of the Immortal, Deluxe Edition Volume 7 by Hiroaki Samura, translated by Dana Lewis, and Philip Simon doing the English adaptation, and then the lettering by Tomoko Saito. A little bit about the translation, which of course talks about why they decided to go with the left-to-right format, how they actually managed to do it in a very unique way by cutting out panels instead of doing the traditional mirroring system, which was very popular at the time with manga in America. So pretty much they would just copy and paste manga into the left to right format by doing a mirroring of the pages, meaning that if you have a character that was right-handed in the manga, in the original Japanese, he would be left-handed in the American version because it's just a copy of it. Whereas here, they actually cut out the panels. Now, it's impossible to cut out every panel, especially when you're looking at spread pages. But they do an amazing job of explaining why they decided to do this. And then, of course, explaining the idea behind the swastika, how this has nothing to do with pro-Nazi movements, and this was long used in Japan during this particular period, and why Manji wears it on his back. And I've always talked about how comics have taught me so many things in life, like as far as historical things, and that was one of the things I learned when I first read this many years ago in the late 90s when it was coming out in single issue format. I had no idea about the swastika back then. Of course, back then we also didn't have the internet, so now you have that to learn even more. So, where does this leave us? This is finally the big climax to everything that has been building for a long time. We felt like years that Rin and Manji have been separated. She has teamed up with Doa, and they are going to invade this hidden fortress and rescue Manji. Now, of course, they're not just rescuing Manji because Doa has her own agenda to go and rescue somebody that she holds near and dear. Kind of like what Rin does. So they go into this badger hole and they are slashing their way in. Rin, of course, learning new techniques like this flaming hornet. I love that. I love when she yells it too. It reminds me of an awesome video game. And of course, it's never as easy as going in there and rescuing Manji, because they have to go through Habaki Kagimura's, all his men, and you also have to deal with a couple of psycho characters. And one of the things that has been happening, of course, before this is they have been experimenting on Manji's body because he's a guy that can regenerate, he can heal. They want to know how they can experiment and make somebody immortal. So they've been hacking away his limbs and putting them on people. And this is one of my favorite moments. This whole castle breakout is amazing, just because you see Doa and you see Rin just become the badasses that they were supposed to be. And oh my gosh, it's awesome because Manji is not there towards the beginning. As a matter of fact, he doesn't really show up until about a third or 2/3 of the book in the first volume here. So this was originally published as, I believe these were originally published as volumes 20, 21, and 22. But, oh man, yeah, this is one of my favorite stories because the payoff is there. You know, she has been wanting to rescue Manji for a long time. She goes through all these villains, all these obstacles to finally reach him. And it is just amazing. Like, the demon lair is amazing. Now, of course, Doa is there because of Izaku. There is the beautiful reunion between Rin and Manji. They're finally back together. But as I said, nothing is that easy. So they have more obstacles, and here's Habaki Kagimura coming in to stop her from saving Manji, and she does the secret weapon, Flaming Hornets. I love when she yells it out. And not everything is translated. There's a reason why they don't translate some sound effects. I love that. And of course, the big battles in here, including with the crazy eyes. Where is he? There we go. This guy right here. Asa. They finally get a fight between Manji and Asa. Now, Manji, of course, is still shackled in. He's got his chains on, and he still gets to fight. There's a character that shows up. Like, I'm not going to do major spoilers on everything. I mean, you know, just talk about basically the premise of the plot. But there is a character that shows up that we hadn't seen since the earlier volumes in this. That's why I love this particular volume. And, oh, you see Doa and how much she has come ahead. Oh, you see Doa kick all kinds of ass. Now, the big thing about this is that there's a water leak. There's a huge water breakage, and the place is flooding. So these characters are fighting for their lives while this prison is being flooded. Doa's primary role there is for Izaku. And this is also where you get to see one of Dr. Burando's horrible scientific experiments named Nue number 1. This one right here. And the glossary explains a lot of that, like what exactly it is. And by the end of this, of course, you know, there's revenge and redemption, and they are able to break loose. I'm not going to tell you exactly where everybody ends up. And we see the return of other characters, too, that we hadn't seen around in a while. So it feels like this is coming to a close, or at least the story of Rin and Manji are coming to that closure that we wanted. So the story ends, and before it ends, though, before we get to the next chapter, we have this glossary. I love this glossary, but by now it's become a little more expanded. You get to learn terms in here in case you're reading this and they don't want to break the flow of the story, where sometimes manga will put little footnotes at the bottom. They decided to put it here, and I like that because it doesn't break the flow of the story. So here you get to learn a little bit about some of these names, some of these characters, and some of them, how they're kind of a joke in itself. The names are, there's Nue, for example, is an ancient Japanese monster. This creature has a monkey's head, raccoon's dog body, and a tiger's leg. So that's really cool. Like, you're learning about these things. There's crazy eyes right there, Asa. And the one drawback to this, oh, there's a wonderful little interview here with Samura, talking about the different ideas he had for Blade of the Immortal. The only negative thing I will say about this, because the left to right format doesn't bother me, that's the way that I've always known this manga to be, ever since the late 90s, and that's the way it is now. It's the lack of color with the covers. I wish they had done something like they've done with Berserk. Keep the covers to the back, print them on glossy paper, but unfortunately they didn't, and this is what we get as covers now. Whereas the original covers were done in color, and I wish that they had used those here. But you do get the full art with no text on the artwork. So a little bit of time has passed. Manji and Rin are together again, and Manji's looking like a badass, but is that really him? What exactly is happening here? But they are reunited, and they're together again. And we also see the goodbye between Doa and Hisaku. Like, they decide to go their separate way, with the promise that they will meet again. Then we get to the character of Habaki Kagemura, who again was the main reason why all this happened with the experiments, the prison, and he's facing a death sentence, or what is called seppuku. And his daughter, we get to meet her, this is Ryo, she's against that. She does not want her father to commit this suicide, even though it's the honorable way to go because of his failures and his sins of the past. So what ends up happening is they decide, instead of him committing immediate seppuku, they decide to have 1 month to destroy the Ito Ryu, to just get rid of them across Japan. And he gets a whole new crew of people, including his daughter right there. And what are they called? I think they're called the Rokidan gang, I think. So they're out to exterminate the Ito Ryu. And of course, Manji and Rin are along the way. And they have 1 month to do it. And if he doesn't do it in 1 month, then Kagemura must commit suicide. So we have a brand new cast of characters that are now after our protagonist. And finally, we have the reunion of Anatsu and the rest of his gang. So the remaining members of the Ito Ryu are now getting together. Like I said, this really does feel like it's beginning to close, even though we know that this went on to volume 30 of the Tankobon. So we've got all the way to the 10th book of this, and that will be the final one, with volume 8 just coming out. Again, beautiful artwork there. I mean, there's nothing I haven't said before that can do it justice, but just this beautiful art, especially when it's just the penciled artwork without the inks, and the most graphic and beautiful, violent pieces of deaths I've ever seen in a manga. Here, let's just absolutely stunning. I don't even have to say anything. That is a beautiful spread page. And if you notice, there's so much violence going on with limbs being cut everywhere. That is so beautiful. And all the way in the back is the glossary with some extras back here, including reimagining some of the ladies of Blade of the Immortal. Like Rin, that is so cute. Oh, look at Hyakurin. But these are characters that have appeared throughout these pages and just reimagined as schoolgirls, including Moguro, who's a badass smoking a cigarette. The different weapons and their names. Little shorts back here. Reimagining Anatsu and his gang. And then about the creator. Now, this particular volume has 736 pages, and then you get an extra pinup back here. It does have this faux leather feel to it, and retailing for $49.99, and that is Blade of the Immortal, Volume 7. And finally, we get to talk about my favorite manga of all time, Berserk, Volume 12. And this is no different than all the other designs that we've had for this particular deluxe edition. You have the faux leather look here, the Berserk in this beautiful red that just stands out, and of course the brand of the sacrifice right there that is debossed. And of course, the parental advisory, some black book end paper, and then the posters that we see in each one of the tankobons, but they're blown up for this particular version. I love the fact that they're bigger. They're absolutely stunning pieces of art and double-sided. So, beautiful. Berserk, Deluxe Edition, Volume 12. You get the table of contents right there, but not breaking down the chapters, just the table of contents breaking down the tankobon. So this does collect volumes 34 34 through 36. This one has 664 pages. And, oh my gosh, it starts off so awesome. Here's a little bit of a recap as to who these characters are in case you're new to Berserk and picking up Volume 12 or the 34th Tankobon. This is what I meant by them breaking down the Tankobon here with this particular table of contents. And then each Tankobon is broken down per chapter. So we're still in the Millennium Empire arc, the Falconia chapter. And, oh my gosh, this kicks off so awesome. This is when the Band of the Hawk now is fighting against these big transformed Emperor Ganishka. And it is up to Griffith again to take the new Band of the Hawk and take down these demons. But little do people know is that they themselves can turn to demons. So it's demon after demon going after Ganishka and all of those particular demons that he's creating. And I love the fact that Sonia, is not afraid. Like, she just jumps into battle and she's caught by one of this is a hunter right here, one of the demons. And she's not afraid, so she's just riding on Hunter. That's the type of character that she is. Meanwhile, Griffith is leading all of these demons into battle as his men are being killed left and right. But there's only one way to stop a demon, and that's to fight it with another demon. There's my dude, Nosferatu Zod. And just beautiful pieces of art. You have the return of the Skull Knight right here, and it's a fight versus Femto. And one thing I'm going to say that I noticed right away with this one, because when you read Berserk, there's a lot of spread pages, a lot of beautiful spread pages. However, with this one here, it feels like there is this white line, like the binding didn't, for some reason, work well with this one. I've never seen this in the other ones. I've seen this type of layout for, like, I want to say some of the Jack Kirby Fourth World stuff where they have this white border here in the middle. But this one just didn't feel like it fit correctly. Let me just show you. I know you've probably seen me pass through here, but you see this white border almost right here. So you have this white line that's kind of running down the middle. And all the other Berserk books that have come out didn't have that. I've always talked about how the binding is great on those, and you can see these beautiful spread pages. But with this, you have this white line coming here. So, to me, it really doesn't ruin the flow of the piece of art. As a matter of fact, you can see it more. But, I mean, if you're looking at it like this, then yeah, I don't know. Guess your mileage may vary. You know, some people can be upset about that. But I do think that this might have been a mistake. I don't think it was supposed to be done this way. And so for just a little bit of comparison, they get better towards the end here. So the more the book goes on, they do get better, like this. That line becomes smaller until it's just gone. So what was I talking about? Oh, yes, the big fight between demon versus demon. So the new Band of the Hawk. Oh, look at that. That is so gorgeous. Even with that white line right there, that is freaking gorgeous. So yes, it is the Band of the Hawk versus Emperor Ganishka. All led by Griffith. You do have some returning characters, and then you finally get a little bit of Guts and his folk. What happened to them? Where are they? Well, they're on a boat. However, they're about to take a little break from the boat and go into this mysterious island because they're being hunted down by this character named Captain, Bonebeard, I think? And of course, there's demons involved, and Guts puts on, he finally gets to wear the Berserker armor again and cut loose. And you know the thing... Eyes up here, Isidro. The thing behind the Berserker armor, it's tearing into his body. It's making him age. So his friends figure out a way to keep him intact, to keep him alive, to keep him from breaking down while he's in there. And not going to go into how they do it, but thought it was a really neat trick. It's beautiful. And Isidro makes a friend. A friend with a little bit of secrets. So they do end up on this magical island where, of course, there's more demons, and this has ties to the demons that are attacking them. Again, spread pages get better towards the later part of the book. And as always, this book right here has all of the covers in the back here. So the original tankobon covers are printed on glossy paper like the posters and in full color. A little bit of bio on Kentaro Miura right there, including his unexpected death in 2021. Still hits, man. And then the rest of Berserk Deluxe editions. Now, we have a Volume 13 solicited, which will go and take us all the way to Volume 39. Volume 41 is his last book before he passed away. Untimely death. You know, he wasn't done with the story. As of this video, I don't know how they're going to handle Volume 14 of the Deluxe Edition. Whether it will just be Volumes 40 and 41, plus maybe some extras, some of the art that he didn't put into his published work, some pin-ups and stuff like that, or if it will continue with Volume 42, which is being handled by the rest of his crew and his best friend. I don't know how that's going to be collected. As soon as I find out, I would love to announce it, though, so I may start asking Dark Horse questions, and they may not know. They may have to wait for the estate or for the license holder in Japan to let them know how they want them to handle it. But this is Volume 12. I love this series. It's one of the best manga. It's my favorite manga of all time. And I know a lot of you all have gotten into Berserk, but this is Volume 12 of the Deluxe Edition. That, as they say... Oh, no, wait. We got one more thing to do. There we go. We got to put these books where they belong. So here we have Blade of the Immortal, Volume 7, sliding right down there. And one thing I didn't even say is that they all have ribbons. Berserk and Blade of the Immortal. Both of these Deluxe Editions do. And speaking of Berserk, let's slide Berserk Volume 12 right in there. This is the way they look together. Absolutely beautiful. Now, that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know near mint condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these hardcovers. Let me know in the comments down below if this is how you are picking up these particular series, or whether you are still getting the tankobons, and if you're going to continue Berserk after, well, what will be Miura's final volume, 14 of the Deluxe Edition. But that's all I've got today. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Let me know what manga you would love to see in Deluxe hardcover format, and that video will be coming out sometime in March. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.